The ability to be able to cope with all the changes of entering a dementia unit depends on two things: resources and abilities. And I noted that those dementia residents who came into the dementia unit with the inner resource of confidence did so much better. And if they also had the ability to be able to read and that cognition to engage and communicate, so much the better. So these are the aspects that really help dementia residents adjust and cope coming into dementia units. And they don't have the impact of all the changes that they're subjected to, because they've got the cognition, they've got the confidence, they've got the ability to communicate, and the tenacity to read and keep their cognition going. And all of these aspects enable them to cope ongoingly living in a dementia unit and help others at the same time. So I actually witnessed this on a number of occasions. It was quite astounding. The ability that these elderly people had. I mean, they were very confident people anyway. I'm sure they had been before they got dementia. And the two I'm thinking about in particular, they had big careers, big lives, lots of responsibility. They read a lot, they thought a lot, they kept up with current affairs, political affairs, and all of these things. They continued to make that effort with coming into the dementia unit, which stood them in very good stead for them to be able to manage long term in the unit. I mean, of course, there's still a huge change, a massive change, but they can link in because they've got that diversification in their thinking. That's also another thing. In fact, the gentleman said to me, who I'm talking about here, he said to me one day, he said, look, if you've had a lot of different experiences in your life, lots of changes, lots of things you've had to do, you know, you've lived in different cities, you've traveled to different countries, you've had lots of jobs, and you've had to cope with lots of changes in your life, then it's going to be a lot easier for you coming into a dementia unit, because you've got those skills at hand to cope with change, to draw from. Whereas if you've just been living in the same house, in the same street for your whole life, and you haven't had any of those changes to have to cope with, then it's remarkably difficult coming into a dementia unit and having to cope with, you know, living with so many people in a medical environment with a routine that's completely different. So that's how past life experience helps a lot. Now with the woman, she kept up her reading ability, crosswords, quizzes, the lot, and she just engaged in it all day long. She was a very good communicator as well, very chatty. She was either chatting or doing the crosswords, full on, full time. She never lost her cognition. I didn't see it. She was totally astute the whole time. And she just kept above whatever else was going on. She just rise above it and just carried on with her own routine and did very well as a result. So it has to be from the will from within. I mean, the effort has to be made. You have to help yourself and try hard. And I mean, you know, everyone tries hard, I think, but you have to have that will and that wish to make a go of it in a dementia unit, to rise above it, and especially to keep your cognition going and make the effort to sustain that. There was one other lady in contrast to these two people. She came in, she could speak perfectly well, she was pleasant, sweet, nice lady, but she was very attached to the family. Not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but to such a degree that they were the only people that existed in the world for her. She didn't want to have anything to do with anyone else except her apple of her eye son and favourite granddaughter, who visited regularly, who were extremely supportive. Now, when they arrived, she would light up. When they left, she'd collapse. They did everything. They came. He was very good with music. He'd come and play the guitar to her or other musical instruments. They came to meals. They took her out. They took her for walk. They did everything that they could possibly do for her to engage in the unit and make friends with other people at the unit. And they were very friendly to the other residents, kind, generous, chatty, trying to encourage the mother to engage with other residents. but she just wouldn't have a bar of it. She just shut down on it. And so because of that, she became very depressed, and she didn't manage at all. She got a chest infection and passed on. So she didn't have it within her to want to make the effort. So it's not like this happens automatically, this cognition, this engagement, this thinking. You do have to make a significant effort when you've got dementia to engage in this work. So I've written about the residents' experiences on this at length. Residents' Voice, Residents' Rise, companion books, good reading, good gift, both on Amazon. So the first book is on entering a dementia unit, everything you need to know for the relative and the resident coming into a dementia unit, and Residents' Rise, once you're in the dementia unit, and the challenges and how to approach those with positive, practical techniques is the second book. So good to get both, read both. You know, lots in there, as well as these videos. Extra in the books compared to the videos. So thank you for your viewing, likes. Please subscribe. Thanks.